All right, good afternoon, everyone. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Give me a quick S in the chat if you can hear to see my screen, please. Or hear me and see my screen. Give me a quick S in the chat if you don't mind. Just want to make sure I'm not talking into a black hole here. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you, Norman, Joe, Matt, Sally, and Ed, Paul. Awesome. Sound good? Clear as mud. All right, great. Well, welcome. You are here for training on hidden forces in the markets. It's 4:30 p.m. Eastern in my neck of the woods, 3:30 p.m. Central. So let's go ahead and get started. Hope everybody's doing well today. I'm going to be covering one of my favorite topics, which is hidden forces in the market. So welcome. You are in the right place. And I do truly appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to come join me on this presentation. As I said before, this is one of my favorite topics. Why? It's because it's actually something that I use on a day-to-day basis and have been for quite some time. I have been guilty, like a lot of others, maybe some of you, chasing shiny objects and looking for holy grails and things like that. I've now pretty much stick to just a few to a handful of core strategies because they actually work. And so I'm going to share that with you today, and I'm very pleased. So you are here to see hidden forces that generate explosive gains in the market. My name is Silas Peters with Seasonal Swing Trader. If you've never been on a call like this before, it may be a little different because I really do want to help you walk away with something you can begin applying today. In fact, we're talking immediately. If you stick around to the end, we'll look at some markets, and I'll show you some interesting setups around the corner. We must always start here with the risk disclaimer as required from our regulatory governing bodies and attorneys. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results or a substantial risk of also trading. Only risk capital should be used to trade. You can lose money in trading. Bottom line is, don't trade with your milk money. Don't trade with your rent money. Don't trade with your child's education. So while you're reading that, let's get to know one another. Where is everybody from? Tell me where everybody is from. I am in LA, Lower Alabama, on the Gulf of Mexico. And we have got people from Tampa, UK, Atlanta, London, another UK, Kansas City. Congrats, Michigan, Chino. Dallas. All right, awesome. Daytona, UK. Awesome. People from all over the place. Excellent, excellent. So I don't want to waste anybody's time. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's get on to the good stuff. My goal for this presentation is pretty simple. Whether you're a new trader looking for a simpler way or a more experienced trader looking for a better way, or really like the rest of us and looking for a more profitable and predictable way, you are on the right presentation. I have you covered. In fact, I have a promise for you. What is my promise? Well, you're going to see how you can start experiencing explosive gains with your trades, all by paying attention to and trading in conjunction with the hidden forces that drive the markets. How explosive are we talking about? That number will vary a lot, but in one of the case studies I'm going to share with you, we're going to talk about a trade that increased by 42.5%. Now, I know that you are all used to seeing and reading probably emails or other talking heads about moves 1,000%, 2,000%, 1,500% overnight. That may not sound like much. 42.5% may not sound like much, but it equated to nearly $20,000 per contract. I shared it with members of my community as well as in presentations such as this, and many people took action with it. And more importantly, they made money with it. And it's actually a strategy that I use each and every day, and one that I'm going to teach you here in a few moments. But I want you to stop and think for a minute. Can you imagine what it would be like to experience that kind of trading success yourself? To not just clear several $1,000s on one trade, but to be able to do that on a regular basis. What would it mean for your family, for your financial future? What about your friends and colleagues? What would they say when they see the things change for you and that you're doing it yourself and not by depending on a broker? Would they respect you more? Would they look at you differently? Can you imagine what that would feel like? These are trades that can literally change your lifestyle. So that's why this presentation is so important, because I really do believe what you're about to learn here is going to move you forward towards achieving that goal. So now's the time you want to shut everything down, remove all of your distractions. That means closing browser tabs, logging out of Facebook, Instagram, putting your phone on mute, hush the crying baby. We're going to be together for about 60 minutes or so. And even though we are recording, I cannot guarantee there will be a replay due to technology or other weird things that happen sometimes. So I want to make sure you listen closely and take good solid notes. With that being said, let me properly introduce myself. Again, my name is Silas Peters. That is me standing in front of my alma mater with my beautiful daughters there at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa before a football game. And 3 days after I graduated from the University of Alabama with degrees in investment finance and economics, I sold my car, packed up my belongings, and I drove to the great city of Chicago, the old Windy City. And it's here where I cut my teeth in the commodity markets working at the Chicago Board of Trade. And here where I was really bitten by the trading bug and never looked back. So while there, I helped run a global trading desk, placing and managing books of trades across the Americas, Asia, and European sessions, primarily working with large block order flow for hedge funds, banks, CTAs, and large four spec traders. Also been a part of building and managing several futures and equity brokerage firms, managing operations, trading, back office sales, and support. Also worked as a private family office investment consultant. I hold or have held these various futures and securities licenses. And then in 2016, I launched Seasonal Swing Trader. But it wasn't always easy. I will tell you, it wasn't always easy. There was a learning curve, several obstacles and hurdles on the path to where I am today. First step, obviously learning. School cannot teach real life experience in the markets. In the beginning, I made money. In fact, I made a substantial amount of money. Was I lucky? I don't like to think that I was, but ignorance and greed cost me my profits, and I blew up an account. And then I blew up a few other accounts in what I like to call revenge trading. Most of us can probably resonate with similar types of experiences. If you haven't, congratulations, you are far and few in between. So I finally went back to my roots, found my process, settled down, and found consistency. After all that time working as a broker, trading for others, and now educating and supporting traders like yourself, make no mistake, I firmly believe that you can see success as a trader. But you're going to need two things to make that happen. You're going to need a strategy to follow, nothing too complex, or you won't even bother with it, and you need to take action. It really is just that simple. Let me ask you an important question. Are you done? Are you done struggling and ready to experience some success in your trading accounts? Are you done spending hours upon hours analyzing charts but never taking action? Are you done subscribing to dozens of expensive newsletters, promising some hidden secret but never having the time to read them all? Raise your hand or type a 1 in the chat if that's you. Let me see where you are in the comments. So yeah, a lot of you are. You're really ready to get some big wins. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be here. So I do have a feeling you are looking for a different way, really an easier way than what you've been doing before. And so that's what we're going to cover in this presentation. And that is how to find hidden forces that generate explosive gains in any market. And we're talking about some really explosive gains. And this strategy will work in any market, whether you trade stocks, Forex, options, or futures. So during this workshop, I'm going to focus in on 3 big ideas that I want you to pay attention to. First one is a hidden in plain sight pattern most traders miss and how you can benefit from those immediately. Next, I want you to clearly understand what data you must focus on and what you can ignore so you can trade in confidence. And finally, I'm going to show you a way that will shorten the time you spend analyzing charts, all by utilizing a simple 3-point strategy. So forget about all of the other noise. We're going to keep it straightforward and simple today. So let's dive in and talk about the hidden in plain sight pattern most traders miss and how you can benefit from those immediately. What are these hidden forces in the markets? Simply put, they are historical data patterns, also known as cyclical patterns or seasonal markets, which have been scientifically proven to beat out every other traditional investment strategy. It's true. A recent study analyzed over 200 years of data across 68 markets where they reviewed the returns on several different investment strategies. Trading off of seasonality outperformed all other strategies. It's very hard to beat 200 years of proof, so let's get into what these cyclical patterns actually are. A market can be classified as seasonal or cyclical when it has a unique or specific demand during different times of the year. Cyclical markets follow the general trajectory of the economy or are based on weather or planting seasons. A few other not so obvious factors that influence repeatable behavior include tax seasons and fiscal policies set by world governments, as well as the movement of large amounts of capital by institutions, banks, hedge funds, and the like. But the most common denominator is that all of these markets and patterns are repeatable. They happen over and over again like waves crashing on a shore. The key is knowing when that wave is coming in and then learning how to ride it. So let's look at some familiar examples. When do you think the price of Walmart is going to rally the most? Right after Thanksgiving. Why? Because there's so many Christmas sales that take place at that time. In fact, one of the very best trades you'll ever hear is to buy Walmart about 2 to 3 days before Thanksgiving and to sell 3 or 4 days later. Year after year, Walmart has always rallied at that time, and it makes perfect sense. In fact, most retail stocks will rally because of Christmas sales that start on Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. Here's another example. Excuse me, wheat is harvested in the fall and people barbecue more pork and beef in the summer. So what do you think that does to the price of those commodities? They tend to rise. Here's another example, Coca-Cola. KO also rallies more in the summer than in the winter because people drink more Coke in the summer months. So whatever your market is, you can typically find its seasonal pattern. Here's some proof. KO rallying in a methodical and predictable fashion, following its cyclical seasonal patterns. So let's take a look at the case study I mentioned in the beginning so you can see exactly what I'm referring to. This is a weekly chart of crude oil on a continuous contract basis. This chart dates all the way back to 2001. Now notice all of the little green circles on the chart. That's where I've highlighted these cyclical patterns that we're talking about. And you can see that for 17 years, from December 2001 to December 2018, crude has followed the same cyclical or seasonal pattern, which is driven by supply and demand. So it's pretty clear that crude oil, just like many energy stocks, really classify as a seasonal market. And I would encourage you to take a look at what 2019 did as well. You'll see it had about a $5,000 to $6,000 move. Here's why this matters. So unlike what you may hear on the news from the talking heads or so some called expert, the demand for crude remains relatively stable throughout the year. However, it really starts to pick up as we enter the new year. To meet the upcoming demand of that time period, distributors will begin to stockpile supplies as early as January. So while refineries shut down briefly to prepare their supply, their doing so usually leads to an immediate boost in prices until the facilities are back in full operation, which is what the cause of these explosive spikes we see on the graph. But enough about the fundamentals. Let's get into the trading opportunity here and how it can benefit you. This is a consistent, predictable pattern that has held true for the last 17 years. Does this mean it's going to work this year or next year or the year after that? No, nothing is guaranteed in life, and certainly not in trading. No one can predict the future. However, this is a high probability pattern, and it would be a smart trade to make. And I can guarantee you that I wait for this setup every year. And the good thing is that it's only one market out of a sea full of markets. If our goal is to simply, excuse me, try to stay on the winning side when we trade, making trades following historical and seasonal cycles that have proven themselves again and again is not only logical, it's just smart. So you may be wondering, what would you have pocketed from this trade? Well, that all depends on what instruments you are trading, how many contracts, your account size, and where you exited or managed risk. The point is, did you know where the trend was likely headed? Did it get and keep you on the right side of the market? So to give you an idea here, with crude oil, each contract represents 1,000 barrels. Each tick or minimum move is worth a penny per barrel or $10 per contract. So a full point movement equates to $1 per barrel or $1,000 per contract. So think $60 to $62 is $2,000. $60 to $68 is $8,000, and so on. So each of these four moves here were worth roughly $14,000 to $15,000 per contract, with this one in the middle about a $25,000 move. So with opportunities like that, doesn't it make sense to trade with the trend, to follow historical data and cyclical patterns with your trades? The answer would be, of course, a resounding yes. So having spotted these seasonal patterns, you could have traded the following. You could have traded crude futures, obviously, mini contracts, micro contracts, options on futures. You could have also traded a myriad of crude ETFs, leveraged ETFs, and other energy-related ETFs, both leveraged, unleaded, even energy stocks. You may be thinking, Silas, that sounds great, but it's easy for you because you know how to read those charts and what to look for. What do I need to focus on in order to find these patterns? That brings us to our second big idea of today's workshop, and that's understanding what data you must focus on and what you can ignore so you can continue to trade in confidence. Because let's be honest here for a minute, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of techniques or quick fixes, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed and not know where to start. So before we consider what we need to focus on, let's address what you need to ignore. Popular but completely unreliable sources of trading information include talking heads, planetary movements, market wizards, and of course, annoying neighbors. We're not going to trust Ned Flanders with our family's financial future, are we? Of course not. So your first step is to cut out all the unnecessary noise. Then I want you to memorize and follow the focus formula. What is the focus formula, you ask? It's X plus Y plus Z equals consistent profits. Everybody knows that, right? That's all the information you need. Of course, you're asking, well, what is this secret formula? Let's talk about it. So three most important things you need to pay attention to. First part is what we've been talking about, which is historical data. That's just looking at the past in order to see the future. The key things you want to pay attention to here are the time of year, dates, what the stock, commodity, currency has done over the last 5, 10, 15 years, and global events that may affect the underlying. From this information, you'll be able to start recognizing trends and patterns. So you can shave years off of your research process when you are aware of these unique calendar windows. You've probably heard it before. The Santa Claus rally, sell may go away, the January barometer, 5 days indicator, and so on and so on. With the Santa Claus rally being the most popular or most recognized, with that rally or boost stock prices into year end, and then we can check that off and go to the next calendar window. So knowing the specific times of these calendar windows, when to be long, when to be short, or where to be flat even, can give you a huge edge in the market. You immediately have an edge over your Main Street buy and hold financial advisor. You can also compare that with sectors, using the same logic to figure out why the top performing sectors typically outperform the S&P 500 over the course of a year. Are you familiar with the term sector rotation? You can bet you know what the top institutional money managers, hedge funds, and pension funds do. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, of inflows and outflows at specific times of the year across these sectors. Stocks, as they always do, follow money flows, and they fluctuate in ways that echo the past. Industries, why do you think real estate stocks thrive at specific times of the year? Or airline stocks? How about energy-related stocks, home builder stocks? Your brain should be spinning right now, but in a good way. We like the market move in cycles, predictable cycles, month after month, year after year. That leads us to the last group, commodities, which have even greater seasonal tendencies, in my opinion, because these are markets that are tangible, physically consumed, grown, planted, harvested, and are dependent on the worldwide supply and demand at various times of the year. Think of some of the more popular examples: cocoa in February, gold in December, grains in the summer, meats in the summer, energies in the winter, and so on. So that leads us to the next part of the focus formula, and that's technical analysis. Let me be honest with you. Using seasonality as a standalone tool to make investment decisions is not recommended. Is it powerful? Does it perform better than other strategies? Yes, we've shown you that. But I want you to look at seasonality as a useful analytical tool and use it in conjunction with fundamentals and technical analysis. So we know that we're looking for seasonal or these cyclical patterns that are at least 75 to 85% profitable. We're also trading technical patterns that typically display a 75 to 85% win rate. We're talking time-tested seasonal patterns combined with time-tested technical patterns. Your chances of choosing a profitable seasonal trade are greatly enhanced if both methods of analysis are combined. When they're used with equal importance, your chances of losing capital are greatly reduced. So let's take a look at some of these proven technical patterns that will help increase your success. The first one here is the head and shoulders top and bottom. I'm sure everybody here is familiar with head and shoulders top or head and shoulders bottom. If you're not, send me an email. I can send you some more information or do a simple Google search. This is technical analysis 101, but they do work. So here's an example of the head and shoulders top pattern in cocoa. Here is the left shoulder, the neckline, the head, the neckline, the right shoulder. Once we get a break of the neckline, that's our cue to get short. What about 1, 2, 3 tops and 1, 2, 3 bottoms? If anybody's followed me for any period of time, you know that this is one of my bread and butter strategies. Not that the head and shoulders isn't, but these occur a little bit more frequently, giving some more trading ideas. Here's some examples of the 1, 2, 3 top and bottom. Here down here, same chart of cocoa where we have the head and shoulders top, but we also have a 1, 2, 3 top, breaks down here below the number 2, and we also have a 1, 2, 3 bottom with breaks above the number 2. What about double tops and double bottoms? Double tops and double bottoms occur on all markets and all time frames. Here's a double top pattern on a weekly chart of Deere, John Deere. Top, top, hence the double top name. We get short on breaks below the M line, and it trades to the downside. What about pennants, triangles, and wedges? Pennants, triangles, and wedges, again, appear on all markets and all time frames. Here's a triangle or a wedge, pennant, whatever you want to call it. We get long on a break out of the trend line. And that brings us to the third part of the focus formula. And that's what I call good old-fashioned common sense. Common sense would tell you not to randomly buy or sell a market just because of a date on a calendar. Common sense that says while pizza stocks may be affected by the Super Bowl, we don't go bet the family farm on Papa John stocks every February 1st. We must wait for the market to confirm that the seasonal move is actually underway based on what the chart and the market environment are telling us. And that's why I came up with the focus formula, because after spending years analyzing, researching, trading the markets, I found that the closest thing to the ever elusive Holy Grail is to use plain and simple common sense in your approach to trading. There are about as many indicators in the marketplace as there are cryptocurrencies. And you know what? Most of them are worthless. What you need is a high probability historical pattern confirmed by a high probability technical pattern paired with a level head of common sense. And these are the three things that I like to call the perfect marriage in trading. And they should help set you up for success in your approach almost every time. So here is the secret formula again. Write it down, tape it to your forehead. Historical data plus technical analysis plus common sense equals consistent profits. So you may be thinking that sounds great, but how can I find those setups quickly? Trust me, I hear you. No one likes to spend all day stuck behind their screen, or at least most of us don't. That brings us up to the third big idea of the presentation, and that's how you can shorten the amount of time you spend analyzing charts. So now that you have your strategy in place, you know that you're now ready to take action. What's next? How do we even begin scouring through years or decades of stocks, futures, currencies, data patterns, cycles, and so forth? What if there was a push button solution? Literally a scan and go function that could lay out years of historical data for you on a virtual silver platter. Type a 1 in the chat box if you like to see push button solution. Take a swig of water here. All right, of course you are. Of course you are. Otherwise, you would be spending your day doing something else and wouldn't waste your time here listening to me. So good. A lot of ones coming in. Excellent. So I'm talking about a push button solution that delivers the following. The symbol, i.e., what do we want to trade? The bias, do we want to be long or short or perhaps even flat? And a suggested entry and exit date. Is that a requirement? No, but it's damn sure helpful. These all give us the framework for your daily process. And that's precisely why we develop a scanner. In fact, it's called the smartMARKET scanner, and we have 3 versions: Smart Stock, Smart Futures, and Smart Forex. This is where we allow technology to do the heavy lifting for us. Rather than manually looking through decades and decades of data, trying to spot these patterns, we now have a tool that searches historical trends and patterns for us and locates setups that meet a certain criteria of success. I'm a huge proponent of trying to simplify things and letting technology do the work. So whether you trade stocks, futures, or Forex, or ETFs, options, or commodities, there now is a push button solution. So how do we use it? Let's walk through the process together, and let me show you how simple it is. This tool called smartMARKET Scanner allows you to choose all of the key relevant information you need, like which month or symbol you wish to see the trend for, as well as how often the trend should win. Do you only want to see bullish setups? What about bearish setups? What about both? How long do you want the seasonal trend to last? Set a minimum 7 days, 10 days, but no more than 20, 30, 40. You click the search button, and what would normally take years to deliver is now done in seconds. So once you have input all of your criteria that you want to look at that is specific to you, you hit search, and then you get your results. It's as simple as that. You're not just limited to only a symbol, an entry date and exit date. In fact, there is enough data there to create an entire computer model. But as I said, I like to keep things simple. Let me show you how I use it and go through this key information that you have access to. So who here wants to dive in and see how this works? Let me go to the scanner here. Go to the scanner. And I'm going to bring up, here is Smart Forex. Here is Smart Futures. And here is Smart Stocks. Give me a nudge, somebody, if you can just see this. I just want to make sure you can see still see the scanner. We went from the PowerPoint slide to the actual scanner, so I just want to make sure. All right, cool. And so here are the 3 versions. Like I said, Smart Forex, Smart Futures, and Smart Stocks. So I'm going to talk about all of this, but you're smart people, you're smart individuals. I'm sure you've already figured it out. It doesn't take rocket surgery to use this. All of these windows, these boxes here, are the areas that you put in your criteria or your variables that you want to see. If we want to look for by month, we can simply drop down and choose the month. If we want to look for symbol, we can scan through symbols, okay? And once we choose that, we find trends that have won at least, 70, 90, whatever it is, but list trends that last at least 10 trading days, no more than 40, depending on what your trading style is. Are you a intermediate swing trader, like trade weekly options? Do you like to swing on a 20, 30, 40-day basis, or maybe even longer? And you hit the search button, and then you get your results. So here are all of your results. The main criteria, the score, with 5 being the highest probability trade setup based in the scan results. So based on this data here, it yielded 654 candidates. That's a lot of different ideas to choose from. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. 5 is the highest score. 0.01 is your lowest probability trade setup. So I like to focus on usually 3 and above, or sometimes I'll even get down into the yellows, which is between 2 and 1. And then we can say, I want to look for only bullish scans, or we did a scan at both, but we can sort. All of these columns are sortable. So if we want to click here and choose, let's say I only see the highest top winning percentage, 100%, or start date, like so, or score only, we can do that. All of these are sortable, and you can move these around any way you wish. All you have to do is go to column options, remove what you want to see, what you don't want to see. You can even custom sort by priority. In instance, score will take precedence over start date. Start date will take precedence over win percent. Very customizable. So what is all this down here below? What is all this down here below? This is your year-by-year profit table or loss table. This one happens to be a 100% win rate over the last 8 years. Think of it as a candlestick. The high of the wick is the max gain during the life of the trade. The low of the wick is your max drawdown during the life of the trade. And the top of the candle of the body is where you ended up in profit. Click on this one here. This is your profit graph. This is your equity curve. If you had taken every trade over the last 8 years based on 100 shares, here's your risk reward probability graph. And then here's a year-by-year breakdown. Begin date, begin price, begin or end date, end price with your max drawdown and your ending or closed P&L. Again, that's based on if you trade, if your settings are 100 shares, you can choose this to trade based on 500 shares, 1,000 shares. You're obviously going to get different results. If you want to track this by dollars and assign a certain percentage to trades, and we'll talk, this actually kind of moves into the next portfolio tab. And if you want to track this based on a hypothetical or live account, you can do so there. And so let's talk about this. So let's say that we like these 4 candidates. What we can do is click add to step 2. It's going to add them to step 2, which is the portfolio tab. Here is where you have an option to run a neural network scanner. You run a neural network scanner. You can find more information about this here in user preferences, where you can choose between conservative, moderate, or aggressive. It's going to tell you exactly what that is based on. There's a lot of underlying proprietary things going on there, but it's based on current market environment, past market environment, a lot of factors going into the neural network scan, and you can hit calculate based on your criteria you enter here, and it's going to spit out a probability. It's going to say high probability, medium probability, low probability, or possibly even just a poor candidate. And so that's going to further your search even more. And let's say that we only liked maybe these first 2, so I left those checked. We can hit added trade alerts. We go to the trade alert tab, and I actually had some left over here. Here's where you can create your own custom trade alerts. So once you can add as many or as little as you want. Choose to have these scheduled to be set up to come to you 1 day prior, 2 days prior, 3 days prior. They'll come to you out depending on how you set up your alerts. Do you have them set up to come to your email address, or you can put in a phone number and that will be delivered via SMS text. You hit schedule and you can shut the platform down, and you'll have as many alerts as you wish sent to you automatically. The settings tab, this is where you can choose to run your scans or your searches based on a particular index, S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, or different sectors. You can see all the sectors listed. You can even come down and uncheck different markets and create your own custom group. You can save your group, name it, you know, Johnny's 1, 2, 3 list, or Billy's favorite stocks, whatever, and it will be listed down here in the group for you. All right. So that is the scanner in a nutshell. So now that, well, let's go back to our example here. So now that we found this candidate, again, you could theoretically just go to your execution platform and place the trade. I don't think that that is the wisest choice. Now we look at a chart. So we found our example here, which is a bullish setup in TGG, and we go to a chart. When I went to the TGG chart at this time, looking for a long trade on or around May 20th, it was trading range bound consolidated area between the 50 and 100-day moving average. So I drew a box around it and I waited for it to break back up and out of the 50-day moving average. It did that right here, broke out above, got a retest, and that's where we're able to get long TDG, buy call options, sell out money put spreads, and so forth. One thing I forgot to cover is you can go back and look in step 2. You can go back and see how that trade setup did. So DXC looks like it's a little bit of around break even. Here was EA. This was the suggested start date, and we've had a nice move, about a $7 move. So you can double click on that and you'll see the chart access. Here's another case study on smart stocks. We found a bearish trade on MAC. We see the year-by-year graph. We go to a year-by-year breakdown. Does it meet our risk-reward criteria? If it does, we go to a chart. And here's what it looked like on a chart. So the trend was clearly down, trading below the 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. But what happened? Market's trading higher into the 50, puts in a bearish reversal candle, gives us our confirmation that aligns with the seasonality component, and we sell MAC, buy put spreads, sell out money call spreads, and so forth. Here's a case study on futures. We found a bullish setup in cocoa, about a 40-day calendar trade from June 3 through July 15. Profitable every year with the exception of that last year. We can see a year-by-year breakdown, showing our average max drawdown, average gain, giving us ideas where to possibly put our stops and our profit targets. So when we pull up the chart, cocoa was trading down. It's trading down, pierced the 50 and 100-day moving averages, put in a bullish reversal candle or a pin bar. That was our confirmation to get long cocoa, nib, call options, sell out money put spreads, and so forth. Here's an example in Smart Forex. Pound yen trade on or around 9/8 with a close date on or around set 19. We look at all the data. We go to the chart. Trend is down, but we had a bullish scan. I'm seeing what happens, what kind of reaction we get at the 50-day. We get a huge reversal candle at the 50-day. The market decides to go higher in line with its seasonality. And look at the suggested exit date. Suggested exit date, that should say suggested exit, was 9/19. What happens here? Put in a top, big reversal bar, and it goes lower. Doesn't work out that way, that perfectly all the time, but that is a perfect case study example. So to recap, let's talk about what we covered. You were introduced to the powerful practice of using historical data to guide your trading behaviors. You also learned about the focus formula, what is literally my holy grail of trading, to understand what data you must focus on and what you can ignore. And you saw several different ways you could shorten the amount of time you spend analyzing charts, all while finding hundreds of high probability setups that you can take action on. But let me ask you a question. Now that you've heard several different ways allow you to shorten the time you spend researching trades, how would you like to get access to this software scanner alerts that were mentioned in today's presentation? So I went into the lab because I had members and students clamoring for something like this, to build something like this. Heck, I even wanted something like this, a simple push button approach that would hand me high probability trade ideas on a virtual silver platter, almost spoon feeding me like a baby. But let me ask you another question. What if we could even shorten the learning curve and have someone scanning and trading by your side every day? who would like to see a push button solution with somebody scanning these side by side with you every day? Awesome. All right, appreciate the feedback. And so let's talk about what these faster ways or the fastest ways are. I mentioned letting technology do the heavy lifting. That's one method to speed up your learning curve. But in addition to having your own software scanner, what if you had more analysis that were given to you, talking about actionable trade alerts sent to you via email and SMS text? Starting in 2018, I started offering an alert service to members of my Seasonal Swing Trader Pro community. Those who subscribe to this service receive basically everything that you received in the scanner. As many ideas that you want, suggested entry and exit dates, recommended holding time, average winning trade, all the stats and metrics that you need to make a logical decision. To give you a better idea of what a service or what this service can do for you, here are a few examples. So when it comes to the fastest method of research out there, having someone do it for you is not just the fastest, it's also pretty profitable. We're talking about you're giving the symbol, the price, entry, exit, even alternative ideas for different asset classes. So if you don't trade futures, you don't trade Forex, don't fret. You're also giving other ways you can trade, whether that's via ETFs or other products for all account types, styles, and sizes. Now, it's been a very successful service to say the least. These are real actionable alerts that were called in real time, not after the fact, no hindsight, no tomfoolery. These were provided to our pro members, and they have done very well. And I'll show you how October, November, and December ended here at the end of the presentation. So with a service like this, taking years of knowledge and experience, I'm doing the analytical research for you. And when I find a setup that meets the criteria, I share it with you. And so far, members are loving it. Here are what a few of them had to say. These are unsolicited testimonials. They come in all the time. I'm very pleased and humbled about them. But most importantly, I'm happy that they're taking action and making profits. So that is why I'm pleased to introduce to you the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package. The smartMARKET Scanner Bundle is your time-saving solution to finding hundreds of high probability setups in only a few minutes each day. I've been able to put a very special offer so that you have everything you need to take action on what you just learned today. So let me share with you what you'd be receiving in this package. First off is the Smart Seasonal Software Bundle. One for stocks, one for futures, and one for Forex, just as I just showed you. This is the exact same software you just saw me demonstrate during the workshop. You'll have access to the same level of tools that I do. As you saw, it's going to help you identify seasonal trends, and that can be identified at a glance with a click of a button, all by pulling from decades upon decades of data. It doesn't get any more time saving than that. As you've also seen, it offers very detailed statistics showing your optimal entry, optimal exit dates, optimal duration, only the most important information you need. Does the math for you, calculating the projected profit, projected drawdown, as well as your average daily profits, gains, max drawdowns, and so forth. So let's consider a few different ways you can use this. You can trade them just outright, buy or sell, pretty simple. You can also trade counter seasonal pullbacks, i.e. don't blindly buy or sell on the exact date, watch for counter moves and look for precise entries. Look for time entries using market bias, compare on multiple time frames. As I said earlier, use it for options trading. That's what I like to do. If you see a high probability seasonal sell setup, I buy put options or sell call credit spreads. If I see a high probability bullish trade, I buy call options or sell put spreads. You can also trade minis, micros, so on. And you can even set up alerts for custom and efficient trading. So with smartMARKET Scanner Premium, you're going to get annual access to all three of the software programs included in the bundle: stocks, futures, and Forex, as well as multiple training videos and strategy guides. So 12 months of access for all three software programs and the additional training, and that's valued at $596. Next, you're also going to be given annual access to the SST Pro Trade Alert Service. This is where I scour for high probability setups, and I send those to you via both email and SMS text. You're also given access to a trade tracker document that is embedded in our members area, so you can see exactly what the open ideas are at any given time. So in this service, I analyze over 100 stocks and ETFs, 35 commodity markets, 35 currency markets. The real-time retail value of that is $1,167. Here are some examples of real trade alerts, not sent after the fact. These were sent via email and SMS text beforehand and as they progressed. You get access to all that for 12 months. Next, you're going to be receiving monthly member bonus sessions where you can ask me questions directly live on the call. We run through scans, we look through charts, discuss upcoming seasonality plays, both short and long-term opportunities and different strategies. These sessions are only available to members of the Seasonal Swing Trader Pro community. You'll have access to those for 12 months. All are archived and placed in the members portal for your viewing convenience 24 hours a day. It's valued $2,388. Also going to be providing exclusive members only scan updates and additional training videos showing you exactly what data I'm researching. These scan updates are provided every Sunday for 52 weeks. Additional current trainings for me along with video updates each week. It's valued at $3,900. So that's everything. The smartMARKET Scandal Bundle, SST Pro Trade Alert Service, monthly members bonus only sessions, weekly scan updates and videos, all $8,052 worth of software training and member bonuses. I also want to include a few additional bonuses to reward those of you who take action right away. That's the chart pattern principle course. It's a 90-page plus PDF manual that you can download to your desktop with additional strategies, patterns, seasonal trend setups, and much, much more. Also going to include my 25 top option strategy guide. This is really helpful for those that are just dipping their toes into the world of options, as well as those that are more seasoned options traders from all skill levels, whether you're trading basic calls and puts to more intermediate advanced, such as condors, butterflies, verticals, diagonals, and more. It's valued at $147. And for serious fast action takers, going to offer VIP email support for the first 25 people that take advantage of this offer. I do handle my own email support. I do have a support team, but I do read and answer everything that comes in. This is the closest thing I can offer to direct access to me because there's only so much time in a day. But for the first 25 people, we're proud to offer VIP email support. That brings the total value to the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package to $8,893. But let me ask you this. If all this did was help you improve your record to generate more wins and losses, what would that be worth to you? If all this did was allow you to unsubscribe to other tools and newsletters that you aren't even using, what would that be worth to you? If all it did was help you place 1 to 2 winning trades, what would that be worth to you? Obviously, I'm not going to charge you $8,893, even though we both agree that would be a fair price after looking at the software and past trades that the service has delivered. I'm not even going to charge you half of that because I don't want cost to be a barrier to your success. You've already seen what this software can do, the probability of the alert service, how much time it will save you. Even just one profitable trade is likely to cover the entire cost of your small investment. So I'm proud to offer a very special offer for this package of $797. $797. The offer link is seasonalswingtrader.com/scan, and you're going to get the smartMARKET Scanner Premium Package. That's access to smart stocks, smart futures, smart forex, 12 months of SST Pro Alert service, monthly member only sessions, weekly scan updates and videos, chart pattern principle course, 25 top option strategy guide, VIP email support. So there is the offer, folks, and I'm going to answer all of your questions here. And let me put that into the chat for you. All right, I put that into the chat for you. The offer is seasonalswingtrader.com/scan, seasonalswingtrader.com/scan. All right, what about training? You're going to get access to about a dozen different tutorials, all broken down into bite-sized nuggets, talking 2, 3, 4 minutes a piece, breaking down every aspect of the software. Like I said earlier, it's not complicated. We don't need hours and hours and hours of tutorials. It's just very simple software, but we break down into what all of the tabs and all the features mean. There's also going to be, I believe it's a 40-page PDF manual, which is this program guide right here. You can download that, and that is a manual that you can go back for easy reference, going into more detail, more depth about the different nuances and usages of the software. All right, here are some of your bonuses. This is what it will look like in the members area, and we'll go over to the members area here shortly, where you can see your bonuses, and there's going to be some unannounced bonuses as well. So let's talk about the process. Recap the process once again. What are we doing? All we're looking for is, what month do we want to be looking at? Or what symbol do we want to be looking at? What is the win percent? Do we have favorable winning percentages on our side? Is the risk reward ratio percentage in our favor? Do we want to be long? Do we want to be short? Do we want to be flat? What is our time frame we want to be in the trade? Should we be looking at a 5-day trade, 10-day trade, 20-day trade, 30-day trade? And we scan for the results, and we do our analysis, and we place the trade. So that's the process in a nutshell, and this is the offer. seasonalswingtrader.com/scan. It's an annual fee, $7.97. You can get access to all of that for 12 months. There is no auto renew, no hidden billing. You don't have to worry about any surprises at the end of your year-end access. In fact, you'll get a very special offer to continue at a deep discount. So let me take a look here and see what questions, comments we have. And we'll go back to the scan. I want to share with you a couple of ideas. All right, yeah, so let's go to the members area. So once you're logged in, you'll go to products, and you'll go to smartMARKET Scanner Premium. And here's where you're going to find your download. So once you purchase, allow some time for us to grant you access to the software, and you can download stocks, futures, and Forex here. Here's your training manual, and here are all of your training videos. Again, 2, 3, 4 minutes a piece. Breaking down what each of the tab. Here's about the neural network. Here's how to use this for day trading, and so on. So yeah, the Seasonal Swing Trader Pro, you're going to see SST Pro. You'll click that. That's going to take you to the SST Pro portion of the members area. Uh-oh. Maybe I need to renew my subscription. Let's see here. Give that some time. Well, I'll show you while this is thinking or acting crazy. I don't know why I can't get in. This is what you'll see. This is one of the tabs you'll see here. This is provided every Sunday. Send this every Sunday, all the ideas for the week and open ideas. And you can always come back down and see the archive. We keep a 3-month rolling archive of all the ideas in stocks, futures, and Forex. Each week you can go back and see how they did, or perhaps even pull new ideas out of those. And I must have locked myself out somehow. I don't know what's going on, so I can't really show you anymore, unfortunately. But that's where you're going to see open ideas right here, and alerts and other things like that. So I guess I can't get into this anymore. I do want to show you. Oh yeah, so you asked about. I had only showed you September, so let's go and I showed you through September. which was up to here, and here was October. We closed $17,926. Here was November, closed $5,498, and then we had a losing trade there in December, $6,000. Here are other tools and resources for you, for those that are trade futures or may want to look to trade futures. Here are different symbol guides, value guides, minis and micro contracts. Here are some additional ETF symbols that you may want to trade sector-wise. And this is just another short guide on how to interpret things that you're seeing on the scanner. You use on multiple computers, you only will get one license for one single computer after purchase. But if you want to email us at support@seasonalswingtrader.com, email me at support@seasonalswingtrader. We can work something out for you and get you another license just using the honor system. It does not renew. You'll get a reminder towards the end of your access period. And if you don't get that for some reason, or it goes into spam, or you want to reach out earlier, you can do so, and we will be happy to help you. Does it include options trades? The scanner itself does not give you an option trade per se, but myself, as well as many students and members, find these setups that they like, and then they will go back into it using option strategy based on what they're comfortable with or what their style of trading is. Some of you are only just trading outright calls and puts. Some of you are trading credit spreads. Some of you are trading condors. So there's a lot of variables, as you probably know, that go into options trading, which strike, which expiration. That's for you to determine, but with the SST Pro service, we do throw out some suggested ideas. For instance, like we've done here, we're long T-Mobile, Smuckers, and Dollar Tree with some suggested put credit spreads there. And I don't know what's going on in my members area, so I'm sorry about that. Matt, you need to, for starters, email us at support@seasonalswingtrader.com, and we'll be happy to help. But you need whatever the Windows compatible or Windows Mac compatible solutions are. I think they call them boot camp. Maybe there's some other things. I don't really know because I don't use a Mac. But if you've done that, just shed a little detail, a little light into the situation. We do have Mac users, so I know that it's working. Just shoot me an email with an update, and we'll figure it out. There is no data feed. I need to put that on a slide. I get that question all the time. It's a good question. It's a good question. No data feed required. The data feed is already kind of baked into it, if you will. Once you download the software, the data, you'll get prompted to update the data, or it may start auto-populating for you. And all that's cooked in. And then once you run your scans, whether you're old school and want to jot them down by hand or copy and paste them, you can just drag and copy these into an Excel sheet and break it down for even further analysis, or have the alerts set up via right here, the trade alert settings. You can shut it down and maybe go to it only once a week. Maybe you spend the weekend doing a scan for the upcoming week, but cull out the trades that look good versus bad, or so on. and set everything up, and you can shut it down. The alerts will continue to be sent to you without the program running. Hilton, yeah, it doesn't matter if you use Interactive Brokers. Doesn't matter it doesn't matter if you use any platform. Options Express, TradeStation, Thinkorswim, NinjaTrader, E-Trade, Sierra, doesn't matter. This is not an execution platform. You will take the idea and you'll execute it on your platform. It doesn't require any kind of connection or data feed. Yeah, we'll get you fixed up, Matt. We'll take a look at that. That's a good question. You make the scan, so you can scan an individual date, like put in a very specific date, I think is what you're asking, i.e., like I want to search between Jan 15 and Jan 20 and see what comes up. Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk to the programmer about that and see what's doable. All right, thanks, Ari. Do you trade futures or options? Trade both. And I'll just kind of pick my poison on the setup, and figure out how I want to play. Some of the futures contracts carry a little bit hairier, a little dicier to hold. As you know, they can be volatile, but the market can be volatile, right? So just depending on kind of the overall setup, and if there's micros or maybe even minis involved, if I can trade in multiples and kind of scale, if I'm able to use those kinds of contracts to scale in and out. One thing that I think we talked about in another presentation a while back is that using options as your risk solution. So let's say that crude oil, maybe the margin is $4,000 or something, and instead of putting a stop $3 away versus a $3,000 risk, is you use options as your risk, and as the market moves in your favor, if it does, you can exit or trade around that using options. There's a lot of different things. That's a whole nother can of worms. But I would suggest looking at options, looking at the mini contracts, things like that, or looking at the different ETFs, ton of ETFs that you can use, and ton of different markets you could use. So yeah, I wanted to give you a couple of nuggets for those that have stuck around, give you a couple of trade nuggets. And the first one is, since we're on the stock platform, will be Mu. And you start to see I had it already pulled up here. And I think there's a trade here in March. This trade right here. This is a trade I'm looking at. So if I go over to the March contract, this is wheat. And we go to a weekly. You're going to see some very consistent things that happen in that March period. Here's a top. Here's a top. Here is toppy action. Short-term top. We get a dip. Remember, this is a weekly chart, so you're going to have extended moves down here. And I didn't really go back much further, but this is that's a high probability trade. Another one I wanted to share with you is gold. And I got 5 results based on this criteria. I might get more, might get less, depending if I manipulate. Say I only want to see 90%, 70%. If I go down to 70%, I should see more opportunities, right? So because I'm increasing this percent here, is going to make my results my yield a little bit less. So here's a trade that I found in gold right here. Bearish trade. Is this the one? I think this might be the one. Anyway, gold trade here in around April, May time period, 88% win rate over the last 8 years. Average profit's been about $4,400 a contract. So let me go to gold. And what did this say? What did this say? April to May. Let's look at a weekly chart. So here we are in April 18. What do we do? Huge move down, 1370 to 1170. $200 move. Here we are, April. Remember, this is weekly, so this is 3 or 4 weeks of downward movement. Continue down into July. Here we are again, topping out in the April-May period, move down. Here we are in April-May, move down. Where were we? I think we were right here. I don't know where we were. Right here, April-May, move down. So that's a trade setup that I would be looking for. If you look at the current state, and you don't have to do all this because you have all this data to choose from, but I do this anyway because I like looking at the markets. It's what I do. But this market is looking a little toppy, but we have, of course, a lot of outside things going on with presidential cycles, elections, other world events that we can't always control or don't know what's gonna, kind of caught off guard, that have, of course, moved gold and the other metals markets significantly higher as a risk on, or quality, flight to quality is what I'm looking for. Did I take a long heat oil trade from last week's scan? No, I did not. Let's look at, so that's another potential trade idea for you. We'll look at heat here in a second. Let's just look at it right now. Let's see, heat, so continuous contract. So I think what you are referring to in one of the videos, it looked like during the time of the recording we had pulled back. This is all from this Iran news, right? So the energy market shot up based on all the fear, and we came back to, reverted back to the mean here. And as of the recording for that particular day, it looked like we're putting a bullish reversal candle here right at this confluence of the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages. And we never got a close. We never got a confirmation close higher there. And it may have been like some type of other, I like to add another layer of confirmation. This is basically a 50% retracement as well. And never got a confirmation, continues to sell off. But I like that because now we're coming down into more support here. And if we go to crude, continuous contract of crude, we have, here's our bullish time frame that we talked about just now in the presentation. Being long crude oil, other energy in this December time frame, December-January time frame. Now we did certainly get some help there with that Iran news, but then once the fear kind of subsided, market corrected. And now we put in a 1, 2, 3. Now we're putting in a 1, 2, 3 top pattern here, right at the moving averages. So huge sell-off today, down 4%. And what I would like to see is this market now trade back down into these levels, to the 51, 52, because technically, or not technically as a technical analysis, but in sees analysis, the markets should carry higher, into March, April, and even more. So I think there'll be some good buying opportunities ahead. So no. I don't know why the market dropped so late in the afternoon today. Got some bad news regarding family members, so I stepped away for a while today. But I would assume it has something to do with this noise within Washington. I think we did have some other reports come out. I think we have ECB maybe tomorrow. So those are things to pay attention to. It's kind of the common sense part of it, is just be aware of, it doesn't mean you have to watch CNBC all day, but be aware of, FOMC dates, crop report dates, central bank reports, rate announcements. Those are the biggies. You can't avoid all of the news, they're literally coming out every day, 24/7. Possible to stay away from it all. And they'll catch you off guard sometimes, just part of it. Several webinars were entitled 87,000 in January. We never made $87,000 in January. But yeah, we will send replay out once this is rendered and recorded, and we have no tech issues. Once you're in the members area, go to SST Pro, click, there's open, close, trade idea tab at the top. You click the black plus sign on the right, and that will drop down and you'll see all the ideas. I can't get into my own site right now for some reason. I'll get with support here shortly. Yeah, Malin, awesome. I'm glad you brought that out about the wheat. I was actually analyzing that. As you saw, I had wheat up before we came on. I did a free video, I think a week or two ago, about wheat and how I was looking to short up here in this area, and we just really never got any confirmation. And we finally got this kind of blast up today, and at even a better level, really a better level to short. So this is what I was eyeballing when I did the video. I don't know where we were. I was talking about shorting wheat, and the market did nothing but go higher, And but thankfully I got no confirmation. I didn't nibble short, and we just closed out short positions in soybean meal. So this is a trade we took in our membership services. We shorted up here, and we got stopped out on our trailing stop on the balance. But going back to wheat, and we'll probably roll over into like the May contract next, which is the next active month, to give us more time to do something. But I think I drew my levels on the continuous, so let me do that. And so yeah, this is what I was looking at, and never got really confirmation I wanted, and it was a good thing because it went from 5 double nickel up to 585, so about 30 cent, would have been 30 cents against me. $1,500 probably would have been stopped out for sure, but now we're even at more significant levels. So now we're at these highs, these highs, and here, if you're just looking, if you're backing into it from just looking at charts, and then and this is what I do. I'll run the scans, obviously, and find a multitude of ideas to work off of, and then I'll go into the charts. But oftentimes, like I do every day, I'm going through 30, 35 markets. I go, that's interesting for various reasons, and then I'll go into the scanner and I'll say, do I have a confirmation here from a seasonality standpoint? I don't just really just take one based one or the other. None really have precedence. If I find a wheat trade here on my own, and I say, well, it didn't come up in the scanner, maybe based on because I have this set too high or set too low, or this set too high, set too low. I said, well, let me go see what seasonality is saying. So we go and type in wheat. I'm gonna look at May wheat, and let's see if we have anything. We may have something, we may not. And what do you know? We got an entire year for, well, not the entire year, for May contract, 85% of the time win rate. So we have a 90% win rate, 88% win rate. Feb 20 to 319, 326 to 415. So it kind of carries forward, right? So about $1,000. So I know that that's coming up. May not, it's not going to occur right on February 20th. We know to be looking and stocking high probability short trades. And if you don't trade futures, as I always like to say, go into the ETF, the ETN. Don't let that stop you. Don't let I don't trade commodities be an excuse. Yeah, awesome. Good call on that. Maybe take it short on wheat tomorrow. All right, guys and girls, thanks for hanging in. Thanks for attending today. Really appreciate it. I love going through this stuff. Love the questions, comments, feedback. Thanks to everybody that's joined. I'll be looking for you, looking for your email. And I see some of you wanted to email me direct. You email me at support@seasonalswingtrader.com. Support@seasonalswingtrader.com. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. If I missed any, or if you have other thoughts or comments that you didn't post here, and love working with each and every one of you, and look forward to working together and trying to make some money out of the markets together. So good luck, good trading. Hope to see you on the next update, and take care. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are in the world. So take care and talk soon. Bye.